Hello, Horror Fanatics. I'm Frank.
And I'm Jen, and we welcome you to our weekly podcast.
The Horror. Thank you for joining us as we dive deep into all things horror, supernatural, scary, and downright creepy.
If you like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe to add us to your regular rotation of podcasts.
You can also submit any ideas, comments, and suggestions to our email address at oth@seriouslydecent.com. And you can check out all our stuffs at our website, ohthehorrorpodcast.com. And here we are.
We are.
Yeah.
Dirty 30.
Dirty frickin' 30.
Yeah.
30 episodes.
How about it?
And we're still here.
I know, right?
I'm exhausted today.
Yeah.
Jen and I just had a intense yawning competition before.
Not sure which of us actually won, though.
Yeah.
I think it was really close.
Well, and on the pre-recording, I was like, yeah, I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to turn it up when it starts. And then it was radio silence for 10 seconds straight. You and I didn't say anything.
Nope, not a word.
So we're going to pull it together here.
Or die trying.
Because you're giving us an hour, so we might as well give you an hour.
Yeah.
You know, it's only fair.
Yeah, it's the least we can do. How about sources? What you got?
Sources? Why don't we tell them what we're doing today?
Oh, hey, yeah.
Gettysburg.
Boom.
Boom, bam. You know what's going to help, too? This is going to be a great one. I can tell. I don't even have my notes up.
Yay!
Whee! I'm doing a podcast.
You were bookmarking for like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How'd that work?
It's good. I got them up.
All right, cool.
They're actually, it's happening.
All right.
So my sources for Gettysburg, mps.gov and thoughtco.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I might snip a little bit off of, I'll give them some, battlefields.org.
Okay.
There's another one. What do you got?
Haunted History Magazine, Ghosts at Gettysburg.
Yeah.
.com. That's And then I went to the Jenny Wade Museum. Like they had a Jenny Wade house / Jenny Wade Museum. They had a site, and I went there to get the information on her.
Cool.
Yeah.
So for those that are not familiar with Gettysburg,
if you're not familiar, that speaks to the failure of our education system.
Well, no,
you should at least know there was a battle at Gettysburg.
Could be one of our international listeners that doesn't really know or care about these things.
True.
So,
my bad.
Gettysburg was a big battle in the Civil War.
Correct.
More towards the latter. Well, I can't say latter end. They fought for a couple of years after that. Mm-hmm. But it was a turning point.
It was a turning point. Correct.
It was a turning point in the Civil War.
Wasn't it the bloodiest battle, or one of them anyway?
So it's interesting because it kind of gets tossed around. I'm not a die hardcore to the core of Civil War fan, but I have a lot of interest in the topic, and I've read a lot about it in the past. I don't do the reenactments. We're going to do some disclaimers here. We're also going to be talking about the Civil War, and we're going to be doing it briefly, just to throw context of Gettysburg.
Right. You can't...
We're here just to report the facts, folks. We're not going to... Yeah, no, we really are. We're going to report the facts, because I'm going to do a little background of the Civil War.
Right.
Just a brief primer, and then a primer of the Battle of Gettysburg. But what makes Gettysburg pretty interesting is there's a lot of haunted sites there. There's a lot of...
me.
Yeah. And
I 100% just did the ghosts in and around Gettysburg.
Yeah. No, we're going to do this nice little split between the two of us.
And if we're going to talk about Civil War experts, my ex was all into it. Into the reenactments.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I watched and or listened to the
Ken
PBS
Burns.
Civil War documentary.
Mm-hmm. Which it's actually good.
It's amazing. It's wonderful. But around the 400th viewing, it starts to wear on you. At which point, it would be supplemented with the TV miniseries North and South. So there was a...
yeah. You could have went outside any of those 400 times.
You know, in retrospect,
yeah,
I could.
It's the stupid things we do.
Yeah.
As people.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I know stuff.
So the Civil War itself was April 12th, 1861 to April 9th, 1865. So basically 4 years of conflict in the country. Now, Gettysburg itself was in Adams County, Pennsylvania, and that was July 1st through the 3rd, 1863. So again, it was around basically the middle of this conflict.
Yeah.
But it was really a turning point of the Civil War. The Union victory, which would be the North.
Yes. That
ended General Robert E. Lee's second and most ambitious invasion of the North, because that's what was happening at that time.
Yeah, they were just moving north.
They were just moving north, more and more and more and more. And I mean, to think about it, they got as high as Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So for those that are not very familiar with the whole turn of events with this, there was only 13 colonies. It was basically the East Coast.
Correct.
Of the United States. You didn't have the Midwest. You didn't have the West or anything at this point in time. And basically what led to the Civil War, to roll it back a bit, obviously slavery is the big topic of the Civil War. It's the prime topic. But believe it or not, it wasn't the only thing that was going on then. And basically at the time when the Declaration of Independence in 1776 took place, the enslavement of people not only remained legal in all 13 British American colonies, but it also continued to play a significant role in the whole economies, the society, but largely the economy. And you think about it, an economy drives everything, in whether it's a community, a town, a city, a state.
Yeah, if you've got a crippled economy, you've got a a crippled or depressed.
No, but your rules of economy define your position in things. So prior to the American Revolution, the institution of slavery in America just was firmly established. And it was definitely limited to persons of African ancestry. And, you know, this atmosphere, it just kind of sowed this construct.
Yes.
And so even when the U.S. Constitution was ratified in 1789, very few black people had, and no enslaved people were allowed to vote or own property.
Right.
Just basically a status quo just stayed through. But there was a growing movement during these times to abolish slavery. And this led many northern states to enact abolitionist laws, abandon enslavement, and so on. But a lot of it dealt with the economy, because the economy was based at that point on industry in the North more than agriculture.
Right.
And the North enjoyed a steady flow of European immigrants, and you had basically impoverished refugees from the potato famine of the 1840s and 1850s. And many of these new immigrants could be hired straight up as factory workers, and they could also do it at low wages. And this was reducing the need for enslaved people in the North.
Correct.
The southern states, they had long growing seasons, and they had fertile soils, and they established their whole economy around agriculture.
Correct.
Versus the factory work up in the north.
Yes.
And this, just basically fueled these massive sprawling plantations, and it depended on enslaved people to perform a wide range of the duties. So Eli Whitney invents the cotton gin, 1793. Cotton becomes super profitable because it's easier to turn out.
Yep.
The machine reduced the time it took to separate seeds from the cotton. At the same time, the increase of plantations willing to move from other crops to cotton created. Again, it's the economy. It's just demand meeting supply, and an even greater need for enslaved people. That was the problem. You get more of this going, and they need the enslaved people to get it going.
More labor.
And the Southern economy became literally a one-crop economy. They depended on cotton, and therefore enslaved people. I hate to make it that simple. I know a lot of people want to make it a lot more difficult, but really at the crux of the issue with Civil War, as far as slavery is concerned, that was it.
Right.
So, though it was often supported throughout social and economic classes, not every white Southerner enslaved people. The population of pro-slavery states was around 9.6 million, and, you know, only about 350,000 were enslavers. So this included many of the wealthiest families, obviously, if you're going to run these massive plantations.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, at the start of the Civil War, at least 4 million enslaved people were forced to live and work on these southern plantations while this conflict was going on. Now, the North had this less emphasis on agriculture, and it was more diverse as far as people coming through. But Northern industries were purchasing the South's raw cotton and turning it into finished goods.
Right.
They needed the cotton for clothes, blankets, sheets, what have you. So this basically created this disparity and led to basically irreconcilable differences between just societal views and political views. Because the North said, well, we want to move in this way. In the South, you had the group that was like, well, we're moving in this way. This is what's working for us.
Right.
But then you also had this other big part of the South that's like, this is all we got.
Yeah.
We're a one-trick pony. We can't do anything else. If we get rid of this, it's going to destroy us and crumble us.
Right.
And so that just created this social order in both private and political.
They hadn't stumbled on peanuts or tobacco yet?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is where, this is where it also changed, like states' rights and federal rights. That was a big part of the Civil War.
Yeah, the
like
states
I said, I'm going to deal with the hot potato of the enslavement of people.
Right.
That I'm getting out of the way front and center because it's not like it didn't exist. But also there was this massive division between the North and South of state and federal rights. And at this time, the North was inviting the idea of having the federal institution be more involved in the colonies.
Correct.
Where the South wanted the states to take care of themselves.
Yep.
And for those of you that do not live in the States and you're a international listener, that is a topic of huge debate here in the States to this day.
Still, yeah.
Still. Yeah. It's still a very strong core argument amongst Americans.
Yes.
Which is what started this whole...
Well, let's be honest. These United States that we live in, each state, you could argue, is extremely diverse. So I find it almost laughable that you could enact a law or a regulation that encompasses all 50 states. Well, because, hear me out.
Yeah.
California gets a shit ton of sun.
Yeah.
We get hardly any.
Yeah.
So if you make a federal mandate that says we have to be 100% solar.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's great for all of those states that get a shit ton of sun. But us here in the North, we're like, excuse me, I have a question for you.
Yeah, no, but it's just the mathematics of it all. You can't have one body that rolls out 50 states.
One law to rule them all.
Yeah. Well, no, and this is the problem that like the European Union's having.
Right.
And this is a horror show, so we're going to move on from that.
Yes.
Because there's other podcasts for that. But the federal, the state and, the federal and state powers, so to be, that did it as well. And then there was the abolitionists, and then the election of Abraham Lincoln really kind of turned things around because Lincoln was just basically saying, no, we're going to move in this direction.
Yeah.
And that gained a lot of momentum. So with Gettysburg, what's interesting with Gettysburg is, again, the battle was in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And like I said, if you were to pull a map, go to Google and pull a map of the 13 colonies of the United States and actually look at everything south of Pennsylvania. At that time, that's what the Confederacy was gaining on and getting a lot of momentum of. And at the time, basically Gettysburg finished the last full-scale invasion of the North. After Gettysburg, the Confederacy started pulling back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically a battle that proved that at this time, General Lee was invincible. He was just moving up and taking everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Gettysburg was basically the pivotal point, that battle, where if the Confederacy won it, the North had their backs against the wall.
Yes.
And the morale in North was terrible before that battle.
Right.
It was really terrible because basically it was kind of strategically set that if the Confederacy took Pennsylvania, it's over.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that was the morale and everything of that. But the battle consisted of 3 days. There was a lot of casualties.
Dude, they picnicked.
Yeah.
The people of Pennsylvania, the residents of Gettysburg, had picnics and watched the battle. Like Shakespeare in the park.
Yeah, yeah. There was an estimated of 51,112 casualties over the 3-day campaign.
Yeah.
It was the bloodiest battle engagement of the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
The actual bloodiest day of the Civil War
was that Antietam?
Was Antietam. Yep. And that battle in a single day, 23,000 people killed and wounded in the fields.
Yep.
In a single day. It's pretty.
Those 400 viewings, I retained some information.
Oh, yeah. Now, granted, compared to World War II and
it's a
some
drop
of the
in the
earlier
bucket.
battles, but at that time.
You also have to take into consideration, this is the American Civil War. So every casualty is an American casualty.
Yeah.
So weren't more Americans killed in the Civil War than in the other wars combined?
Yeah, Americans, yeah. But also that wasn't our homeland or whatever. It didn't take place in our ground.
I get that.
But like with Gettysburg, there was 165,620 forces engaged total.
Mm-hmm.
That's Union and Confederacy.
Mm-hmm.
The Union had 93,921. The Confederacy had 71,699.
Mm-hmm.
So out of 165,000, 51,000, I'm using round numbers here.
Right.
Were estimated casualties. So it's almost basically like 30% of the people there. You look at the Union, they had I'll round up 94,000 and 23,000 were casualties.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is a
Confederacy, there was 72,000. It was 28,000 on that side. But it changed. It was a whole turning point, and that's where Abraham Lincoln did the Gettysburg Address. Again, it changed the entire morale of the North overnight.
Yes.
Absolutely overnight. And it changed the direction, period, on how things were going to be. And again, change is slow. Mm-hmm. I think people forget that. Change is slow. But it did change that whole narrative of enslavement.
Mm-hmm.
There was another option.
Mm-hmm.
People had difficult choices to make and maybe couldn't have left enslavement for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about with the Blood Countess, the driver.
Oh, you mean Marie
Duffy
Lalaurie
with the driver. I mean, the driver just had this devotion to her to help her.
Right. Well, because by helping her, it was...
Well, he had a good driver's job.
Well, yeah, and it was self-preservation.
Mm-hmm.
The more he helped her, the less her ire could be directed at him.
Yeah, and he wouldn't be a driver.
Same thing with the Blood Countess's right-hand people.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're right there and you're in the midst of it and helping.
Yeah, as long as you're in. And I think that's a big lesson that history provides with people is be careful of who you serve.
Yeah.
Because even though they're nice to you today, tomorrow they can turn on you. And when their life turns bad,
they take everyone with them.
Every single one of them with them. Everyone goes down as well. So with all of this going on in the battle, and the battle was 3 days, this town didn't really have anything big about it before this.
It had a college.
Yeah, I mean, it had a couple universities, a college,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't like there was massive factories there. It wasn't like this was it was just a place for the most part.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's famous for this massive battle, which some would look as a good thing, others not a bad thing. It's a tough situation.
Yeah.
But the battleground, even to this day, there's stories of people that are taking down trees because it's a big national park now.
Yeah.
And it's about, I think, what is it, 60 square miles? 60, 70 square miles?
I get into it a little bit
of the
later
whole entire park.
Of how much the National Park Service
Mm-hmm.
takes over. But a lot of the places remain untouched. Like,
There's a lot of places that remain untouched.
the Jenny Wade house still has the blood on the floor.
On the floor, yeah.
Where she fell.
There's also what they're finding out, because a lot of the musket balls have been picked over throughout the years.
Yep.
But when they do maintenance on the property and they take old trees down,
Oh, yeah.
what they'll do is they'll cut sections on the trees because they're finding those in there.
Yeah.
And they're putting that through the museum as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually rounds still being found
To
to this day.
Yeah.
There's some that have rounds in the homes.
There are, the homes still have whatever rounds went into them. The holes that were made from the rounds that struck the buildings, they remained the same.
Mm-hmm.
Some have done renovations, and I'll get into that when I get into my ghost
So basically,
stories.
this is the primer of what happened, what took place. And as a result of that, there's a lot of what is claimed to be paranormal activity.
Guys, I have a video that I'm going to share.
Well, I'm turning over to you now.
On the Facebook group. And, I mean, I'm not going to say it's definitive.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
But it's pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got into just how bloody this battle was. And amid this much death, it's really not surprising that there would be stories of ghosts or spirits or hauntings. So I'm going to get into the places that have either the most common or the most frequent ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start at Pennsylvania Hall. Gettysburg College, as it's known now, was once known as Pennsylvania College, and it had been open for 30 years before the battle was fought on and around its campus. One of its three buildings at the time was Pennsylvania Hall. It was stately and sprawling and used as a field hospital, which most of these places that are haunted served as a field hospital
But
during
basically every
during the war.
place took the place of a field hospital.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was used by Union and Confederates to triage and treat their wounded. The floors would become covered in blood as surgeons amputated limbs and tried to dress bullet and bayonet wounds, all with no antiseptic. So the hall still stands today. In its previous lives, it had served as a dormitory, but it now serves as an administrative building. Students and faculty both have seen a lone man, thought to be General Lee, pacing the cupola at night, and others have seen a pair of sentries looking out over the fields. So the most famous story was relayed by Mark Nesbitt, author of The Ghosts of Gettysburg. Kind of disappointed that I didn't get my hot little hands on that book before this, but I might just get it anyway.
Why not?
And check it out. So in his book, two administrators were working late one night, and they went to take the elevator to the first floor. But instead of taking it to the first floor, it took them to the basement. And when the doors opened, they were horrified to see a scene straight from a Civil War hospital, with wounded men writhing in agony and surgeons conducting amputations. One surgeon turned to them, beckoning them to come in and help. The women frantically pressed the elevator buttons until eventually the doors closed and they were returned to the main floor. They went to campus security, but when the guards went to the basement, there was nothing there but musty storage boxes.
That's so messed up.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, no. I mean, I'd like to say I could imagine. I'm imagining it. And like I'm putting myself in that situation.
Like you're sitting there and you're talking, oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
See, I would just be glad that I had someone with me because there's two people, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because I'd be like, "You seeing this, right?
You see that? You see him, right?" So the next,
because no one else is gonna fucking believe us.
No. The next place is Farnsworth House Inn. That's easy to say. Mm-hmm. Built in the early 1800s, the building that is now the Farnsworth House Inn has changed hands many times. It started as a private home, became the town bank, and then was run under the name of the Sleepy Hollow Inn, and it is currently under the stewardship of the Schultz family. So during the Battle of Gettysburg, over 135 mini balls, or at least one artillery shell, struck the south side of the building. That latter artillery shell stayed lodged there until the current owners pulled it out, afraid it would one day fall out on passersby.
The artillery shell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Confederate sharpshooters were posted in the attic, and historians theorize the shot that killed Mary Virginia Ginny Wade, the lone civilian casualty of the battle, was fired from that garret, from that attic. 3 stories
That's
down,
a bold statement.
The basement served as a hospital room, complete with the death that accompanies said hospital. This led to the Farnsworth House Inn being counted among the most haunted places in Gettysburg, with as many as 16 spectral entities at the inn. Visitors see and feel the spirits walking around, sometimes following guests from room to room, and even sitting on their beds during the night. Could you imagine sleeping in your bed and all of a sudden you feel someone sit on your bed? Heavy breathing and sobbing have been heard from unknown sources, and the smell of cigar smoke sometimes permeates the air.
See, cigar smoke I wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind
the
either.
Smell of a cigar, but
because
someone sitting on my bed, that's where I draw a line. Because, I mean, you know me.
The look of disgust on your face when I said that.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, you know me. If I hear a noise upstairs, I'm looking into it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't go to sleep.
Yeah.
Not knowing what the hell made that noise.
Yeah.
The cat I've gotten used to, and that took some training.
Yes. But she sounds like a herd of elephants, guys. She's an
But if I hear
cat.
something that sounds remotely human upstairs, like even if she just like jumps from her tower and hits the floor.
Yes.
I'll be like, yeah, that's the cat. But what if it isn't? This is the one time your family's going to get mad at me that I didn't check a noise at the door. And then I've always made that joke. It's a joke, but it's the truth. As if I were to find you bloody and dead and murdered, I'm just leaving.
Yes.
Because I'm instantly suspect number 1. I've seen all the shows.
I would like to state for the
Unless
record.
I have a rock solid alibi, like I'm on camera.
Yeah.
Even if it's just screwing with another chick, I don't care. As long as I'm on camera. That's my alibi.
Time stamped.
Yeah, but that'll be the day like where I leave the phone in the car.
Yeah.
And I go for a hike or, that'd be the one time I go for a hike overnight by myself. Mm-hmm. I do that, twice a year.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, now that I got my sleep.
Yeah. Now that you got your wits about you.
Yeah, Now that I got my whole, sleep
your affairs in
study
order?
and stuff, But that'd be the one time I would go and I'd just come back and I'd see that. I'd be like, yeah, all right, I'm on the run.
I'm going to record for the record now.
Yeah.
If I'm ever found dead.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the staircase.
Yeah.
It was the GD cat.
All right, you know what?
Because
no, you got to change
seriously?
that. You got to say it's not Frank.
Okay, it's not Frank.
Thank you.
It's definitely my stupid freaking cat who can't stay out of my feet when I'm trying to go anywhere.
Well, honestly, you don't watch where you're walking.
Well, I mean,
laugh when you turn and run into Dean.
Yeah.
Dean's a Bernese mountain dog, folks. He weighs 120 pounds. He's up to basically just below your waistline.
Yeah, he's right at hip
And you're like,
height.
oh, you snuck up on me. It's like, how the hell does he sneak up on you? He's always behind you.
He's stealthy.
He's sleeping now.
So the sound of a jaw harp being played in the attic is thought to be made by one of the sharpshooters who was stationed there and appears to have not left his post. The attic room is padlocked shut because of the force of the restless spirit that occupies it. Conversely, the door to the basement has been known to open on its own as a soldier appears carrying a wounded comrade down to what was the makeshift field hospital. An older woman in period dress, thought to be a former matron of the house, has been mistaken as one of the staff before disappearing into thin air. Could you imagine being like, "Excuse me, can I get
Oh.
Okay.
You know what I think? If I was in those positions, I would turn, like, say the soldier.
Yeah.
Like carrying the wounded or something like that. I'd be like, hey, the war's over. You can stop now.
So finally, the spirit of a midwife has been known to tuck guests into the bed in one of the rooms. So would you like her to tuck you in and then have somebody sit on your bed and smoke their cigar? Maybe cry a little?
I don't know. She's good looking.
I don't
You know.
I don't know. I don't know.
She was nice. If she had good stories, I'll listen to it.
All right, so let's get to some battlefield legends. Many don't realize that the Battle of Gettysburg, in that battle, the battlefields were everywhere.
Yeah.
Like dead and wounded lay on the roads in the July heat.
It was multiple areas. It wasn't like the one,
Right,
like everybody has a
exactly.
traditional idea of, and this was a lot of the battles where.
Yeah, no, this one was,
it was
sprawling.
Yeah, where it was that 100 yards where
Yeah.
everybody did all the fighting.
So because the dead and wounded lay everywhere and it was July and July's heat and humidity,
yeah.
residents walked around with aromatic herbs under their noses just to be able to bear the smell. And today, some people claim to get phantom whiffs of peppermint while walking through town.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I would have gone with, peppermint is pretty strong, so that would be a pretty good one, but
Yeah.
I think basil would also be a pretty good one because it is pretty pungent, especially if you got it right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hold on. I'm experiencing technical difficulties.
That's fine.
Okay, the battles of Gettysburg National Military Park are preserved by the National Park Service. They arc around the town, almost totally encompassing it. Many farmhouses and other privately owned buildings are now owned by the National Park Service, and each kind of has their own story to tell. The George Weichert farmhouse, like many Gettysburg buildings, was a field hospital housing the wounded soldiers. Ghosts of Confederate soldiers are said to pace the attic where they hid until Union forces discovered them and killed them. There is also a door on the second floor that won't stay shut even when nailed shut. Like, they've gone so far as to nail it
See, that
shut.
would drive me fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like if we had a door here that just kept blowing open and I'm nailing it, I'm welding like
Would you
metal
leave?
together, and yeah, I think ultimately I will, because we talk about this where I'm always like, I'd get the hell out of here. I'd get the hell out of here. I think if something was a nuisance and not really bad, and I know that's how it all starts. That's what most of them say.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd leave over like a mischievous door. But if it got more than that, because I would just leave the door open. It's like, dude, you want the door open?
Fine.
Fine.
Take the door off the hinges.
That's probably what I would do. That sounds like a frank answer right
Does
there.
sound like a frank answer.
All right, you want the door open? Fine.
Fine.
Fine, fucker.
Here you go.
Yeah.
You don't have a door.
You don't have a door now.
How do you like it?
Are we good? Are we cool?
So the Hummelbau house was near the front lines and acted as a surgery where men lost their limbs and lives on the operating table. Amputated arms and legs are said to have been thrown out of the kitchen window to keep the operating area clear, and a grisly pile formed outside said window. That window is said to now rattle and make strange noises for no visible reason. The Hummelbau house is also where Confederate Brigadier General William Barksdale died, crying
sorry.
out for water, which he still can be heard doing today.
Back to the
Hummelbau?
limbs with the window.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about, remember in Family Guy when Peter Griffin was flipping the frog out the window with the box?
Yes. Yes.
I was just wondering how many times that happened with like an arm
Like
or a
they
leg.
threw it,
You know, they
and
threw it, it just
fell.
wouldn't hit, and they just throw it again, and they're like, motherfucker.
I don't know.
No?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So the fields themselves have their own fair share of spectral legends. Military band music emanates from Cemetery Ridge. The cries of soldiers and even their apparitions have been experienced all over the park. At the Peach Orchard in the west, at the site of Pickett's Charge in the north, and beyond, especially, is where they hear the music and the apparitions. Little Round Top, however, seems to be its own hotspot, with a headless horseman seen riding there, apparently trying to rally his long-lost men. I don't know how you rally people when you don't have a head.
Well, that's why he's still riding around.
Do you go like this, like just circle your arm, like, guys, follow me?
Babe, that's why he's still riding around to this day.
Another popular story arose during the filming of the movie Gettysburg.
Gettysburg, yeah.
Some of the many extras were watching the sunset from Little Round Top when a haggard man dressed in Union garb and smelling of sulfur approached them. He talked about the ferocity of the battle and passed them some ammunition. The extras thought he was actually one of them until the ammunition was reportedly authenticated as being 130 years old.
It's so weird. It's just weird stories over there.
I loved all of it.
Yeah.
Devil's Den. Lying to the west of Little Round Top is a ridge of boulders known as Devil's Den that saw brutal and intense fighting on the second day of the battle. Amidst these stones, which tower as high as 20 feet, soldiers engaged in vicious stand-up, hand-to-hand combat. It was one of the few places where Confederates were able to drive off the Union. And in so doing, nearly 500 men died, and it's commonly cited as one of the most haunted spots in Gettysburg. Drums and gunshots are often heard there, and the apparition of a scraggly Confederate thought to be a Texan. And I'm just going to stop here for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they think he was a Texan?
Why? Because he's got a southern accent, probably.
But so did everybody in the South.
I know. No, it's Texan.
Yeah, exactly. So he's often seen walking the boulders, telling people what you're looking for is over there, as he points to nearby Plum Run, where heavy fighting also took place.
So he says that as a ghost?
Yep.
So
it's over there.
So we would just be hanging out here, and he would just pop out and be like, what you're looking for is over there.
Yep.
And then just disappear.
Yep.
I don't know. I think I'd have a lot of fun with that.
Would you go over there?
Maybe. Depends. Is it daytime, nighttime? Do I have a flashlight?
I don't know. Some say they've taken a picture with him thinking he was a reenactor, only to have a blank space in their photo where the soldier stood.
So he actually photobombed and posed.
Yeah.
And there's a guy
Could you
with
imagine
his arm around.
you get your picture back and it's just your arm out like this.
You know what Gettysburg sounds like? It sounds like an acid trip without the acid. That's what it sounds like. All these things happen.
It sounds like we need to go.
Oh, we're going.
Is what it sounds like.
Yeah, we're going. That's always been a trip we want. We always wanted to do.
So whoever haunts the area appears to have an aversion to photography. Wah, wah. Cameras of all types have been known to jam and malfunction among the boulders. Film crews actually had equipment shutdowns and cameras were knocked from stands or out of people's hands. Photography was new when the Civil War occurred, so it was the first time that pictures of the brutality and violence of war was captured on film and viewed by the public at large.
Yeah.
So there's a story that photographer Alexander Gardner moved the body of a Confederate soldier to pose it for a shot, and it's this disrespect of the deceased that is thought to be the root of the camera troubles at Devil's Den.
Interesting
hypothesis, right?
View on that.
Yeah.
Well, I did read that after the battle occurred, many people flocked over there just to witness the event.
Yeah.
Not during it, but after. Just to witness, because word just spread around of how just insane it was, and people just flocked over, and that's where a lot of the picnicking they talk about.
I remember from the documentary, it started with the stories of, they were sitting there, they were picnicking, They were eating their lunches. And then all of a sudden they realized just how close the fighting and the battle was to them.
Yeah.
And then they realized, oh, you know what? This is probably like a really bad idea. Yeah. And then they all started to flee. So in and amongst all this fighting, you have this mass exodus of people who shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
not all knives in a drawer are sharp, babe.
I mean, all right.
Yeah. Well.
So let's talk about Homestead.
Yeah.
The wake of the Civil War left thousands of children orphaned and in desperate need of homes and therefore care.
Oh, yeah.
And in 1866, the National Soldiers Orphans Homestead, because, you know, that just rolls right off the tongue.
It does.
Was opened in Gettysburg, and 200 children passed through its doors over the following decade. When Rosa Carmichael was brought on as the matron in the early 1870s, rumors of abuse began to circulate. She was arrested and fined. Wait for it.
Oh, I'm waiting.
But allowed to return to her post.
Yeah.
Where her violence and torture of the children, shocker, increased.
No.
Until she was run out of town in 1876. So for 6 years after she was arrested and fined, she was just allowed to keep, keep on keeping on.
Short-handed, babe. You know, it was either her or nobody, and you can't let these kids take care of themselves. So
I guess.
So Rosa had to do it for a while. They had to deal with Rosa.
So children were kept in basement dungeons, shackled to the wall.
Nice.
One boy was penned outside in the dead of winter until two men passing by heard his cries for help and therefore rescued him. An older boy was hired to administer corporal punishment to Carmichael's delight.
Yeah.
And until 2014, the building was home to the Soldiers National Museum, and patrons reported hearing the cries of children, felt little hands tugging at their clothing, and experienced a malevolent presence thought to be Rosa herself.
Wow.
So could you imagine you're walking through the museum and you can hear kids cry and you're like, but it's going to be faint and far off. And you're like,
and you're thinking that's somebody, I wish somebody would shut that fucking
no,
kid
you're
up,
probably just thinking, you know what? It's probably like something outside or, I just made it up type of thing. And then all of a sudden you feel someone,
pull
these tiny little hands pulling on your clothes.
Yeah.
I think I would shit my pants.
You would jump.
I definitely would jump.
You would jump. Yeah.
There would probably be a swear word said.
Yeah.
I would definitely at least do a whoop.
Yeah. You'd do a whoop.
Something.
You would do a whoop.
It would be loud. It would be audible. And I would jump.
Or you would blame it on me. You'd be like, are you pulling on me? You would do that.
I'd probably hit you and be like, stop it. And you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Be all mad at me.
No, I wouldn't be mad at you.
I'd be like, stop pulling on me. But I wouldn't. That's not something you would do.
No, I'd poke at you.
You would. Poking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know what. I do think I might shit my pants.
Yeah, that would be a weird.
For as many experiences as I had and have had, I don't know that I'd be able to handle that.
You don't think you could recover from that? So. That would be it?
I don't know. I think that might tip me over.
Like you'd just be done?
I'd be like, I don't want to play anymore. I thought this would be fun.
I'd have to admit you?
No.
No? Okay.
I'd just be like, I don't think I want to do these tours anymore.
Yeah, you just want to you want some quality time at home.
Can we just go to Hershey Park?
Yeah. Just eat some truffles.
I mean, a chocolate park can't be haunted.
All right, so I'm already figuring out our itinerary. We're gonna do Gettysburg, and then the last stop is Hershey Park, just in case. Just in case some yiddle hands grab you, and tug your shirt. Yeah, I'm just gonna have Hershey Park already
queued up,
I'm gonna have
ready to go.
two nights already queued up. So we're either celebrating how awesome it is, or we're there to save your mind. Either or.
So, all right. This is the part that gets a little muddy. Mary Virginia, a lot of the sources call her Jenny.
Jenny, yeah.
But Ancestry.com did a deep dive on her, and her name was Virginia. So her nickname was Ginny. Not Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
And there is speculation that she's like, yo, the least you could do is get my name right, because her presence is still very much, let's get into it.
You think she's bent just over the name?
I've been bent over the name.
Would you deal with people in the afterlife? Would you take it that
far? Oh, no.
Far? Yeah,
no.
I don't see
I'd
that.
be like,
I see him
thank
moving on.
God I don't have to worry about people.
You want to meet loved ones you haven't seen in a while.
My name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she was lonely.
So Mary Virginia, Jenny Wade, lived
let's get it straight so she doesn't give us any fucking problems.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why I've cleared the air here.
That's why you're on the team.
Yes. She lived on Breckenridge Street in Gettysburg. I know that doesn't mean anything to any of us because we don't know where Breckenridge Street is because we're not in Gettysburg.
Oh.
Where she and her mother worked as seamstresses.
It adds scope.
They fled their home in anticipation of the coming battle, choosing to stay with Ginny's older sister, Georgia McClellan. And this was not only for their own safety, but because Georgia was very pregnant. As a matter of fact, she gives birth just an hour before the Confederate Army arrived in Gettysburg.
Whoa.
Yeah. She had a boy.
Well, good.
And he lived.
Hey.
So, hey.
Did he stay at the little kid's home there?
No.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
His parents turned out didn't die. So,
good.
Ginny was said to be betrothed to Corporal Johnston Jack. Here we go, guys. Skelly. Jack Skellington.
Oh, my goodness.
So, a childhood friend turned romantic interest.
Whoa.
Jack was wounded and captured in Winchester, a fact that Jenny would never learn. The Wades and McClellans did their patriotic duty by serving bread and water to the nearby Union forces. In the early morning of July 3rd, Ginny began to need a fresh batch of dough so they could continue to provide for the soldiers. That same morning, Confederate soldiers began firing on the north side of the house, which was hit by over 150 bullets. One such bullet, a mini ball, passed through two doors and struck Jenny in the shoulder, penetrating her heart and finally coming to rest in her corset, ending her life at approximately 8:30 a.m. on July 3rd, 1863.
Wow.
Federal soldiers carried Jenny's body to the cellar. Later, they would bury her. And Jenny's work was not in vain, as on July 4th, the very next day, her mother used the dough to bake 15 loaves of bread for the hungry Union soldiers. Corporal Skelly, Jenny's fiancé, never learned of her death. He died in captivity just 1 week later, on July 12th, before the news could have reached him. Today, Ginny is buried near Jack in the Evergreen Cemetery. Turns out she was buried a couple of times, like they picked her up and like they buried her in the basement. Dug her up, put her in a cemetery. She was there for a while, and then they dug her up and moved her to the Evergreen Cemetery. And a monument marks her resting place, as well as a perpetual American flag that flies day and night. The only other woman to claim that honor is Betsy Ross.
Wow.
So the Ginny Wade House is today the Jenny Wade Museum. Should be Ginny Wade Museum. Inside, they offer a very detailed and graphic tour that is available to the public who wish to get an inside look at 19th century life, specifically when Ginny Wade died during the Battle of Gettysburg. Here you'll find that the same floors are still intact, still covered in blood from when Ginny fell to the floor after being shot. Also on display are several photographs that have been taken from inside the home. Some of them feature objects that will make you question reality, seemingly capturing the spirit of Ginny Wade. Perhaps the most interesting part of the tour is when actual video evidence is given, proving the existence of a supernatural entity at work in the Wade home. If that wasn't compelling enough, EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, recordings are played. providing even more proof of the hauntings that take place within. Many witnesses have claimed over the years that they have seen her walking through the Wade home, while others have spotted her wandering the surrounding countryside. It would appear that Ginny can't let go of her once beloved homeland. So often do reports come forward that the television series Ghost Adventures and Ghost Lab have both featured the Wade residents on their respective shows.
Mm.
So if you decide to visit the Ginny Wade house, make sure you bring a camera because you never know what might later show up in your photographs. Many who have done so have come to find inexplicable paranormal objects and possibly the disembodied spirit of Ginny Wade.
Hmm. How about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, how about that?
Yeah. You know.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. That's some cool stuff.
It really is. And
so what's the video you have?
So the video I have, it was shown on a local Fox affiliate.
Yep.
But when I tried to go to that video, I got that error, page not found.
Mm-hmm.
But I found another, I think it's a YouTube video, and it shows the road.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a dirt road, and it's at night. So it's in like that grayscale.
Gotcha.
And you can see a cannon, and then you literally see like 3 specters, all in military garb.
Yeah.
Like running across, like clearly reenacting what happened. Like you can see them running through. And I happened across it on Facebook, and it was labeled visitor catches ghosts at Gettysburg.
Yeah.
And, instantly I'm in.
Yeah.
They had me at ghosts, but Gettysburg. So I watched it, and I've got it all queued up so I can share it to the group.
Yeah, I'll post that at the same time I post the episode.
I'll send it to you.
Because normally I wait a bit and post the other stuff, but I'll post that so they can watch that.
Yep, I'll send it to you. I have it queued up on several devices.
Yeah.
It's not very long, like it's just a few seconds long. But I mean, it is pretty.
Is it this one here?
Startling. That's the one.
That's the one?
Yep.
All right.
Watch it. Because you will see.
I'm going to the YouTube link.
Do you see the cannonball, like the cannon? Because I remember them clearly running like in front of the cannon.
Whoa. That's weird because they're not there anymore.
Right. They come in and then they go out.
Oh, that's weird. That's so weird. Yeah, I'm putting that on. I'm putting that on.
Guys, it's really good.
I'll have to find it.
I was pretty pleased with myself.
Yeah, I'll have to.
One, that I remembered it, and 2, I found it. Yeah.
I'll have to find that. I'll link it from there.
I have the actual YouTube link. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, because the YouTube link will be easier to share.
Yep.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of videos that I'll look at and I'll go, that's not compelling at all. Like that's, but those types there.
Yeah, like that's.
And that's like the video I keep talking about. It's
I know.
Like that's.
There it is, babe. What you've been asking for.
Yeah. And you delivered.
Thank you.
I love you to pieces.
Thank you.
I just, yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really crazy.
So imagine.
Yeah.
So you just saw the video. Now imagine you're just tooling around Gettysburg, like you're on vacation. Your little nerd heart is just like, oh, look at all this history. Like you could still see the bullet holes and it's all still there. And then all of a sudden you're like, what you're looking for is over there. And then he disappears. And then you get your
like the
your
influx.
camera out, and then that flies out of your hand, and you're like, what is happening?
And a door slams behind you.
Yeah, and then someone sits on your bed, and then you feel the little hands pulling at your clothes.
So they're saying that upon, let's see, I'm reading a bit more.
Oh, don't do debunking.
No, the New Jersey Paranormal Research Organization posted to their Facebook page that the ghost sighting wasn't actually a ghost at all, but rather water droplets on the camera. I don't know. I'm going to watch that again because I know what water droplets on a camera look like.
They don't look like people?
Well, no, but I'm just curious to see. I'm going to blow it up full screen. Full screen's unavailable because technology's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. It's possible. It is. I can't deny it. We'll have everybody we'll have the Facebook, I'll frame it that way.
Okay.
We'll do kind of like a survey.
Okay.
Is it ghosts or water droplets?
Ghostlets.
Ghostlets. They're ghosts that spit on the camera and ran away.
I mean, I wouldn't blame them.
But again, it goes back to what we talk about all the time, the power of suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
And like, here we are talking, here's me talking all day about Gettysburg.
Yep.
And you're talking about haunted things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see this video and it's what my mind instantly wants to think.
Yep.
We talk about this a lot on the show.
Yes.
And we talk about it for just reason because it's true. It's really true. The power of suggestion is
like the
massive.
EVPs.
And like you look at that and it is a little, it looks like water drops. So now here's the thing. What is the power of suggestion really of? Ghosts or water drops? Who's suggesting more to me?
Right.
Because you look at it and it's you look at it first and you're looking for ghosts. I mean, you could hear me. I was just like, oh my God. But now that I'm seeing I'm looking for water droplets. That's what I see. And of course, the link that this news place has sucks. You looking at it?
I am looking at it.
What gets me, I gotta refresh this because what gets me the most on it, oh my God, pop-ups and people got to really get their websites freaking straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got tech angry there. It's not hard. Yeah, because at first what it looked like was the figure was running in between.
Yes, in between the
cannons. But now that I looked at it again, it's over it. It's over both of them. And that's where it could be water. It could be a rain droplet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going more rain droplet now. Sorry. We're going to share it anyways because I'm curious as to what everybody else thinks, but it does look like a rain droplet. Good old New Jersey Paranormal Research Organization.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
You know who wasn't listed here is Taps going to Gettysburg.
Yeah. But and that's where things that's where the shit gets tough.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep.
I've had people that I know that listen to this show and they get mad at me.
That you don't believe?
Not that I don't believe, but that I'm just critical of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that frustrates me the most. It's like, you don't believe in it. It's like, no, it's not whether I believe in it or not. It's just I have an explanation for what that is.
Yes.
It's not about beliefs at this point.
Well,
I say it on the show all the time. I would love to have that moment to kind of justify it. But the fact is like, this is my story the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I'll see a video like that. And then, it just happened to read on it, but I would look at it more. Like after the show, you know me, I would have had it on there. I would have been watching it in slow motion, checking it all out. And honestly, I might have came to that conclusion 2 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is like, I just, the immediate jump that people go to things and they're just like, yeah, no, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, wouldn't you want to hear another angle on it? And
yeah.
And there's a lot that are like that. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, there's people, like when we did the ghost episode, there were some places where I was walking around, people listen to that episode, of people that I know that listen to the podcast, and they fucking bitch me out with it. Or like their significant other would bitch me out and they'd just be like, yeah, no, my girlfriend was fucking pissed at you, you know? And I was just like, really? And they're just like, oh yeah, you know, well, he's doing a ghost episode, doesn't even fucking believe in ghosts, you know? And it's just like,
I think it's healthy. I think
very
it's
healthy.
healthy to have skepticism.
It's insanely healthy.
I don't think you should just automatically swallow everything that you're fed.
Yeah. And you shouldn't be all in on something that,
No.
I'm sorry, you can't prove.
Correct.
If you can prove it over and over again, like you could take me to a place like where that door is and just be like, all right, Frank, nail the door shut.
Mm-hmm.
And then
watch
fucking
it fly open.
bang, it flies open, you know,
Yeah.
and then I could stand around. Like if you could just do that to me, then good, we're on equal footing here.
Right, yes.
But the fact is like I could legitimately recreate that video we just watched. I could in a rainstorm. Or just, and not even rain. That was just drizzle. We just had that before we did the show.
Correct.
And I could get it to a point where it's at night with headlights on the car.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. And that's, you know, probably they had headlights on and you're going through a windshield because it does look kind of grayishy.
Yeah.
You know, so
Grainy.
that'll create an artifact or an effect that, well, looks like that. It's not that hard. And it's just with everything, every single one of them. This is where, like, I say it all the time. It's like the Warrens. Like, I want to love the Warrens so much.
Yeah.
I want to love everything they, you know, the stories and all that.
I will say I was firmly on the Warren train.
Well, I'm going to be honest. How old were you? I'm not going to say how old you are today.
Early 20s.
Yeah. It's a while back.
And then it was the whole Amityville thing. And then I started to do the deep dive and I was like, oh, shit.
But I hate to say it. I mean, and I'm just saying it as an adult. I hate even saying the word adult. I don't feel like an adult. But
I know. We are.
I have the mirror and birthdays to remind me that. The fact is late teens and early 20s, I didn't know a fucking thing.
No.
I thought I knew everything.
You know is really just a drop in the bucket.
I thought I knew everything, but the fact is like I was instantly like I would get into things like you know, here's this idea, this one point of view, boom, I'm in, I'm hooked.
Yep.
That sounds great, feels awesome.
Yeah,
you know, and then years down the road, you look back and you're just like, oh, well, I had that all fucking wrong.
Yeah,
you know, like I didn't have any of it close. You know, I had it all wrong. And that's where I see a lot of things. And unfortunately, that does come with age.
It does.
It does. You know,
the more you experience,
Yeah.
not only of life, but of the everything, the day-to-day, the mundane,
Yeah.
the more informed you become, the
Well-
more informed your opinions will be. And like when
Maybe.
you're experiencing something new, having had all of those experiences.
Yeah, but I think without humility, you're not going to have any of that.
Okay, yeah.
I think
that's
humility plays a big role.
It does.
Like for me to sit back there and tell 20-year-old Frank and 18-year-old Frank, dude, you have no idea what you're doing.
Right, yes.
I laugh when people are like, what would you tell your old self? Like, would you pass this sage wisdom to yourself, or would you warn them of something that was coming up? I wouldn't do any of that. I would just point flat out and say, the biggest thing you need to learn is humility. Mm-hmm. Humility is what's going to help you win at the race.
Correct.
Because you're going to find out you're wrong a ton of times.
Yes.
More times than you are right, you're going to find out.
Yeah.
And if you have the humility to sit there and say, yeah, you know what?
I was wrong.
I had no idea what I was doing there. I had no idea, because I wouldn't even be able to tell old me I had no idea what they were doing, because old me would be like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm fucking,
okay, old man Frank.
Yeah, okay, man. You know, whatever fucking boomer was back when we just called people old. Now they got fucking boomer. But the fact is humility plays a huge role in that.
It does.
And I look back and like my humility.
You need to at least step back.
Yeah.
and at least accept that there are things that you don't
so
know.
here's a funny story on humility.
What you got?
And then we'll have to wrap
Lay it
this
on
up.
me.
So my dad had a takeout restaurant.
Yeah.
Letting the people know, because you know this, of course. But my dad had a takeout restaurant, and it was a popular restaurant, but we by no means got rich off of it or anything like that. We were your classic, like, working restaurant that just had enough to keep the restaurant going,
right?
And the bills paid at the house.
Yeah.
So my dad had the takeout restaurant across the bridge of this other town that had a civic center where, like, wrestlers would go, rock bands, stuff like that. So fortunately for my dad, there was a couple of bands. REO Speedwagon was one of them.
Yep.
And there was a couple other bands that kind of told everybody on the tour, and definitely the wrestlers did too, because WWF was, like, pumping big then.
Yeah.
That was Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage,
yep,
you know,
the Iron
Big John
Sheik,
Studd and all that stuff.
Andre the Giant.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan was from Glens Falls, which was that town where the Civic Center was.
Really?
Yeah. The guy with the 2x4.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was from Glens Falls. And we were South Glens Falls, right across the bridge there. So, yeah, they all kind of pushed the name around because my dad had hot buffalo chicken wings.
Yes.
And at that time, only Anchor Bar in Buffalo had them.
Right.
We went there, and my dad got laid off. And he says, I think I'm going to do this back home. And he did that. And at one point, there was just the two places.
Right.
And then it spread like wildfire, and now they're all over in every pizzeria. So my dad's working at the store, and I'm all of, like, 6 years old, 7 years old. And Def Leppard comes in, rock band Def Leppard. And my dad, classic form. So my dad had all these people come in. He never got pictures, autographs. He felt like that was insulting and rude to them to ask for all that kind of stuff. So these guys come in, and my dad goes, what are you looking to order? And the guy goes, I'm looking to get this and this and this or whatever. And I think it was like the front man of the band. And my dad, and he goes, you know who you are? And my dad goes, personally, don't know who you are, don't care. If you want to order something, go for it. And it was like the guitarist or somebody that was standing next to him said, let that be a lesson in humility. Because this guy probably walked into every place and it was just,
and
like,
had everybody ooh and
the salt of the earth,
world.
Oh yeah. And you got my dad who's just like, dude, are you gonna buy some chicken or not?
I could see your dad doing it.
Exactly.
Am I dropping the chicken in the fryer or what? Is there going to be an exchange rate here?
Absolutely great. But I think those are great moments of humility.
It is. It's a great lesson in humility.
Humility keeps you healthy.
It does.
Yeah.
You know what? It keeps you grounded.
Yeah. However, if you are looking...
Keeps you Casey Kasem with your feet on the ground, reaching for the stars.
If you're looking to get more information on Gettysburg, if you're looking to visit Gettysburg, they're part of the National Military Park System.
Correct.
You can go to mps.gov, or you can just Google Gettysburg. And the mps.gov will give you a lot of information about the park. It'll give you a lot of information to plan your visit to the park with basic information, directions, transportation, eating, sleeping, places to go, calendar events, so on and so forth.
Et cetera, et cetera.
We strongly recommend that people do trips like these. It's not just the Conjuring homes.
Oh, yeah, no.
And all that stuff.
I think you should.
This stuff has an added value not only for paranormal things, but also the own history of your own country.
Correct.
And there's a lot of people that work at these places where they volunteer and they volunteer their time. But more important, what they volunteer is their knowledge of the topic.
Yes.
And it's better than any book you could have because you can't ask a book questions.
No.
You can't ask a movie questions.
No.
But you can visit these people and ask them questions.
I will say our tour guide at the House of the Seven Gables in Salem.
Unbelievable.
Was amazing.
Yeah.
It was hands down one of the best tours I've ever had. And simply because you had someone feeding you all of this knowledge.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Well, and then also, I mean, you really hope you have someone, I'm going to brag a bit here. I hope you have someone like myself in your group, but you should be this person that asks a ton of questions.
Yeah.
It's true. There's no stupid question, but when you go on these museum tours and you go on these military park tours and everything, ask all the questions you have, because you have this rare opportunity.
Yes.
To be there with somebody that has untapped knowledge of this place.
Right.
It's better than books. It's better
Yes.
than movies.
Yep.
And it's literally the best thing you can do to get more knowledge of certain topics.
Yes.
Because you're going to be surprised that you got fed a lot of bullshit through a book.
Yes.
Or a movie.
Yes.
Or a TV show.
Yes.
Where you have these groups of individuals that have literally poured their heart and souls
Yes.
into these topics, these time eras.
Yes.
And they're literally walking knowledge that is very finite.
Yes.
These are people that can't be replaced. It's gone. It's erased. So enough of my soapbox with that, but that's an important thing for me, and it always has been. What do we got next?
We have the Demon House.
I know.
In Gary, Indiana.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
Has nothing to do with the Jackson family, by the way, because they were from Gary, Indiana, too.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
Which,
I mean, there was a family living there, but nobody was a recording artist or singer or dancer.
I was a huge Jackson 5 fan when I was a kid. Jackson 5 and
Jackson
Michael
5
Jackson.
was okay, but when Michael Thriller,
see me off the
about
wall.
it.
Off the wall is where it's at for Michael, for me.
Oh, it was Thriller. It was Thriller all the way.
I like Thriller, and Thriller's popular, but we had Off the Wall. My brother Danny had Off the Wall on a vinyl, and I just couldn't get enough of that album.
Yeah, I didn't have
Good
that
stuff.
one.
But talk about big. Like, people don't realize how big Michael Jackson was.
Huge.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Like, he would go to some, like, remote tribe in Africa, and they're all like, Michael Jackson!
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How do you even know who this guy is?
Yeah, I think that would be a huge mindfuck.
I couldn't imagine being that famous.
No. I wouldn't ever want to be.
To where I would go into a
famous.
place that, like, fire is the most advanced piece of technology they have.
Yeah.
And you
they
walk
know
in and they're like, hey, Frank. And I'm like, what the fuck?
And I'm out.
Yeah. Well, that's tough because you got no place to kind of escape from yourself.
No, you don't.
Just your persona's in the way of you constantly. It's
Bet
weird.
you don't have anybody calling you on your bullshit either.
Yeah. But Demon House next week. So
yeah.
We're
buckle up.
Yeah. Yep. And
again, guys, if there is a topic,
without a doubt,
or if there's something or someone you would like us to do an episode,
give a shout on the Facebook group.
Yeah.
You can also give a shout out on the Instagram account.
Yep.
You can email us at oth
at seriouslydecent.com.
Correct.
You can go to the Horror Podcast and find the link.
Yeah.
To
Facebook and all that. Yeah, definitely. We actually
or if you happen to know us, you could just be like,
text us.
Yo, Dinkus.
Yeah.
How about you try this?
No, we love coming up with the topics. We enjoy it. We have a lot of them that we pick out, but we really get excited about people on the listening end that would love to listen.
There's a couple lanes that
we're
excited to jump into.
And
introduce into the podcast.
We'll do a slight spoiler. The newest of lanes we're going to be jumping into now that we've got past episode 30, alien encounters we're looking at.
Yeah.
So if there's certain alien encounters that you would want to know more information about, or the story, or if you want us to kind of see what the skinny is it real? Is it legit? Let us know.
Yep.
And we'll do what we do. That voodoo that we do.
Yes, we will.
So,
we
folks,
will do all that.
You have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. No Ouija boards.
Nope. No dolls.
No dolls.
No capes.
Never any capes.
No blood rituals.
No.
No cults, satanic or otherwise.
Yes.
Have we added anything else?
I don't think we have anything today we could put in it.
Okay.
I think Demon House is going to give us plenty of opportunities to add to the list.
Yeah,
But, yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
But what number are we at now? So we got no Ouija boards, no capes.
No capes. Wait, no dolls, no
No
capes.
dolls.
No blood rituals.
Blood rituals.
No cults,
No
satanic
cults.
or
It's
otherwise.
5. It's 5.
We're at 5.
Yeah. We got to make it to 10. And then we're
Oh.
putting a hard stop on it.
That's it.
Unless they're really, really good.
Okay.
Past 10, they got to be good.
Okay.
You know. I like 10 because 10's marketable.
Like the 10 Commandments.
Yeah. We'll send a little fake stone. 10 things you shouldn't do.
Oh my gosh, I could make one.
The 10 Commandments of the Horror. It's basically what?
We should call them the 10 tenets of
Yeah.
the Horror.
Yeah. The things you shouldn't do.
Just don'ts.
Just
We'll
don't.
call them just
We'll
don'ts.
call them just don'ts. I think we got it now. It's just don'ts. I like it.
And as always, please make good choices.
Take care, folks.